Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another evening of good entertainment from the days of good old time radio. Tonight, we start off with the Richard Diamond Show. I know we had one a couple of months ago, but we have another one. This program starred Dick Powell in the title role, and he was to be the only actor to be on the radio show for its entire run on the air. The show ran for a number of years, coming to an end in June of 1952. It is singular in that Powell's portrayal of Richard Diamond was considered to be a significant role for him, and a signature role, indeed, for the entire series. The name of this story is entitled Lonely Hearts, and the storyline is a typical showcase for Powell and the cast. So, with that in mind, let us turn back the clock to May 18th of 1951 for this episode of The Adventures of Richard Diamond, Private Detective.
The makers of Camel cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. After all the cigarette mildness tests,
Camel leads all other brands by billions of cigarettes. Smokers have made the sniff tests, the puff tests, and the sensible, thorough 30-day Camel test. Now, after all these tests, latest published figures show that Camel is in first place by its widest margin in 25 years. Make your own 30-day Camel test, and you'll know why Camel is by far America's most popular cigarette.
here transcribed is Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency, your pain is our pleasure.
Why don't you sell that to Dr. Kildare?
That's where I bought it, and he assured me it had never been used on radio.
That in itself should have given you a clue. Everything in the world has been used, including me.
Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Mad?
You either come out to my place tonight,
or
it's going to be off limits to enlisted private eyes as of 1900 this night.
Helen, I'll be out there tonight, come anything you can think of, or high water.
I'm going to hold another boyfriend in reserve just in case.
What a waste of manpower. You'll see.
All right. I'll give you one more chance. But if you don't make it this time, you might as well call up the Lonely Hearts Agency the next time you want a date.
Well, as it just happens, I was about to contact a Lonely Hearts Agency.
Right now?
In a matter of minutes, my dear.
Oh, Rick, I take it all back. You can come anytime you want, and I'll welcome you with open arms. I'm sorry I said anything.
Oh, it's not what you think, baby. This is business. I'll explain it all when I get there. Oh, there he is now.
Who?
My client. Come in. Bye, Helen. See you at 9.
I'll bet my bottom Cadillac you won't.
Have the title transferred, honey. You're sure to lose. Bye.
Bye.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes, Mr. Dickinson?
Call me Ralph.
You were pretty excited when you talked with me on the phone this morning.
Well, it's just that I hate to be taken for a rube, and brother, have I been taken.
You said you came from Maine, that right?
Winter Harbor, Maine. Couple of hundred people. Everybody fishes, including me, but I make a few extra bucks running a lobster pound.
What in the world is that?
It's sort of a sea pen, when you keep lobsters alive until the market price is right.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell me about the girl.
It was her letters. They were so wonderful. Well, I couldn't believe I was being fleeced until it hit me right in the face, like a dead codfish.
I think I'd better take notes. Why don't you start from the beginning?
Well, in Winter Harbor, a good-looking girl is as hard to find as an orange on a fir tree.
Colorful.
As soon as they realize they got something, they leave town. Well, I was so busy lobster fishing to pay for my first boat, I missed all my chances.
I see.
So I ran across a magazine that had some ads in it. Said there were a lot of people in the country lonely, beautiful young girls.
And you bit. Hook, line, and lobster trap, shall I say.
What would you have done? I sent him $10 and got back a list of names. I wrote to all of them. And one of them answered was from New York here. Sent her picture. Look at it, here.
Beautiful.
She wrote the most wonderful letters anybody ever wrote to anybody. I couldn't sleep nights thinking about her.
Well, I hate to shatter your dreams, but this picture happens to be of a movie star, June Allison. It's a cinch she didn't write the letters.
How do you know?
I know her husband, and he censors her mail.
Well, I asked her to marry me. She said yes.
And she asked you to send her some money.
$1,000 for clothes and transportation. You know how long it takes to make $1,000 fishing in Maine?
1,000 years?
You're a couple hundred short. Anyway, when she didn't show up, I wrote. No answer. So I came. No girl. And no address like that. I took the hook, and they reeled me in.
Why do you want me to find her? To marry her? Or get the money back?
If I can get the money, I'll take it.
Less my fee.
Oh, yeah, understood. Anyway, I just couldn't live with myself thinking of how I'd been skinned. I need the satisfaction of getting even. You find her and throw her in jail if you have to.
What was her name?
Elsie McGill.
What was the name of the agency that sent you the list?
The Metropolitan Romance Bureau. Here's the clipping. How long do you think it'll take, Mr. Diamond?
With luck, a year. But I'll try to hurry things up for you. I knew I'd have to start with the agency, but I realized that I would have to go at them obliquely. I knew a stranded Western singing group, the Riders of the Purple Subway, and I borrowed a Western outfit from one of them, complete with 10-gallon hat and high-heeled boots. I fell 3 times in the first block trying to use them, and finally switched to crepe-soled sneakers. I stopped at a jewelry store for a 25-cent diamond stick pin. You should excuse the word. And then at a gas station to spill some 20-weight oil on my lapel. And brother, was I ready. I found the Metropolitan Romance Bureau on the 3rd floor of the Fairchild Building. It was a small but impressive office with a receptionist who was large and impressive.
May I help you to something, sir?
I don't trust myself to answer that, ma'am.
You're blushing.
Reckon I am. First I thought it was because my socks wasn't sanforized. But now I know it's because you're the prettiest thing I've seen since my first glass of beer.
Where you from, and what's your name?
Harold Appleknocker's my handle. Howdy. And I'm from Oklahoma.
The play or the state?
Oh, the original company. Out west, I'll have you know, ma'am.
Well, sir, what can I do for you?
Well, the truth is, ma'am, I heard this is a Lonely Hearts agency. I'm lonely, and I thought maybe I could meet someone through you.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is strictly an agency that works through the mail. That's all we're licensed to do.
Oh, that's too bad. I got a lot of oil money that's just burning a hole in my suitcase.
You mean your pocket?
No, I could only get a few thousand of it in my pocket.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really a shame. I sure would like to spend it on some girl. Well, thanks for the friendliness.
Just a minute. Maybe I can fix things up for you with Mr. Santino. He's head of the bureau.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. I sure got myself a lonely heart. While she was calling into the inner office, I took a roll of stage money, what else, out of my pocket and began thumbing through it. As I was ushered into Mr. Santino's office before I counted to 10, he was small and wiry and greeted me like a brother elk.
All the way from Oklahoma,
That's right, yes, sir. And in my 16-cylinder covered wagon.
huh? You're quite a jokester. I can see that right away. Drink?
No, thanks. No. I carry my own jugs of Oklahoma water.
What business are you in?
Oil.
Quarts or gallons?
Barrels.
Oh, you don't say. Well, now, let's sit down and talk over your little problem. I take it you are lonely and in search of feminine companionship.
Oh, you can see right through me. Lonesomeness is pretty hard to hide, I guess.
Yes, it's the scourge of our society. Millions of people passing each other on the streets and never speaking, keeping their unhappy little lives all tied up within themselves. It's a tragedy which we attempt to alleviate in our own little way.
Can you alleviate mine?
I'm required to ask you this, but just what are your intentions? You know what I mean.
Oh, strictly honorable, Mr. Santino. I'm looking for a soulmate. Marriage is my intention, sir.
That's the answer I wanted. Now, let's get down to business.
And we did. I forked over $50, which I could ill afford, and then we settled down to look over some prospects. He finally came up with one, Candy Cooper, whom he described as a ravishing beauty who was so lonesome she sat home in her penthouse apartment nights with nothing better to do than her laundry. I found this hysterically incredible. But when we actually met later that day at a swank restaurant for dinner, I realized that my understanding of incredible was painfully limited. She was something right off the cover of Cosmopolitan, in 6 colors and 5 dimensions. Even if I couldn't prove the 5th, I could see it.
It was wonderful of you to go to all this trouble taking me out to dinner.
Oh, if this is trouble, I should have been in it long ago.
The big city can be so lonesome sometimes.
I know, yes. Times like 5:30 in the morning, or when you have smallpox.
You don't seem to believe me.
Candy, I'll bet they could make a human carpet out of the men who beat their way to your door every night.
Not as many as you think. And the ones who do come are opportunists.
Can you blame them?
Beauty can have its drawbacks, too. Men are afraid of you. Sometimes I wish I'd been born plain.
Candy, honey, beauty is about the one thing they don't tax. Don't knock it.
Tell me something.
Sure, before you even ask. I got more money in the bank than the two of us could count.
That wasn't what I was going to ask. I'd like you if you didn't have a cent.
Oh, the curse of wealth.
Are you really interested in finding a girl to marry?
That's my whole aim in life. I just want somebody who's willing to come back to Oklahoma with me, sit on the back porch and watch those poor little old pumps bring up the oil.
After we finish dinner, would you like to go up to my apartment for a drink?
It would be painfully obvious and a waste of time to include my answer here. Suffice it to say, I found a reckless taxi driver who crossed town so fast, the meter showed that he owed me money. She lived in the Welton Arms. The decor of her apartment was out of next month's Town and Country. Her shelves were lined with intelligent books, and there were a couple of college diplomas on the wall. And her bar, oh, that was, I'm sure, borrowed from the Astor for the night.
You can have anything in the place.
Oh, honey, I'd trade everything for a warm look from you.
How's that?
Do you have any liquid starch? I'd like to fix my collar.
You're great. Know what I think?
I couldn't guess.
You know, there's something about you that I really like. And I'm sorry we had to meet this way.
What's wrong with this?
I just wish it could be some small town on a summer night, and you walking me home from a band concert or dance, and oh, why go on?
That was pretty good copy, Candy.
Mind if I play a record? It's my favorite.
Go right ahead.
Oh, I wish I knew the words.
I do.
Oh, Harold.
Come here, Candy. Kinda got you, huh?
Oh, what an awful, awful business to be in.
Why, what do you mean?
Excuse me, please.
Her tears looked pretty genuine to me, and I figured either she didn't know what she was doing or she was using a new angle in an old racket. But while she was out of the room, I recovered somewhat and gave her apartment a fast once-over. My recovery was complete when I found stacks of letters to and from Lonely Hearts clients in her desk. I pocketed as many as possible. Then I settled back with a camel just before she returned. She cried a little more, but did no talking. I finally left, dropped by the office, put the letters in my safe, and spent a half hour on the phone with Helen explaining where I had been. She was very understanding.
I don't believe one word of it.
So I went home and went to bed. The next morning, I was coming down the corridor to my office and met Bridgie, the scrub woman.
Hey, Ricky boy, don't slip on that water.
Good morning, Bridgie. How's the pinup of the 4th floor?
Now, there's nothing wrong with my looks that a few years wouldn't fix. But unfortunately, they've already passed.
Oh, go on, go on. If I were a few years older, you'd be just the thing for me.
Want me to scare you and tell you I'll wait?
Honey, let's talk about something else. Tell me, how are the bass drum lessons coming?
Oh, I'm off the bass drum now. The vibrations upset my stomach. Besides, I've taken up softball now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Does that thumb look like I'm kidding? I'm the Roundhouse Girls softball team. 5 wins, 2 losses. Better than the Red Sox, and they got men.
What do you play?
Catcher. I'm a regular Yogi Berra.
The only catcher in town with built-in padding.
Just for that, I have a mind not to tell you about the 2 men who went into your office.
When, dear?
2 minutes ago. And outside of an umpire, they're the meanest looking men I've ever seen.
Thanks, Bridgie.
If you need any help, just call me. I'll bring my Louisville Slugger.
Good morning, Diamond.
Who are you, and what are you doing in here?
Carney's my name. They call my friend there Jumbo. He don't talk, except with his hands.
Am I supposed to turn white or something?
I hear you're a great actor, Diamond. Make a specialty of Western parts. Oilmen and such.
Well, sorry, I'm all booked up.
Santino don't like to have his letters stolen off his dames.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Jumbo? Now, Diamond, I guess we open up your safe and get the letters, huh?
I'm not much of a morning fighter. And besides, I was overmatched. Anybody would have been with Jumbo. That's all the excuse I'm going to offer. Needless to say, I gave them the letters. I'd already read them anyway. They mussed up my office a little just for fun, placed a long-distance call to Yokohama and charged it to me, and ordered a 12-foot good luck horseshoe of flowers from a nearby florist, also charged to me, and then left me sitting there. Diamond Detective Agency, blue eyes, now black.
This is Candy, Mr. Diamond.
Sweet of you to call.
Listen, somebody recognized you last night, and they're going to be after you. They want those letters back.
Why should you tell me this?
Because I like you, stupid. Now, burn those letters and get out of your office. And if you want to give me some help, I sure could use it.
What kind of help?
I want to get out of this town. Oh, help me. I'll do anything to repay you.
I'll be right over.
Get rid of those letters first, and then... Santino, no! No! Get away from me! Ah!
Candy! Candy! I got over to her apartment as fast as I could. Her apartment door was locked, so I sprung it. And there wasn't a soul in the place anywhere, or any signs of a struggle. I got out of there and beat it over to the Metropolitan Romance Bureau with blood in my eye and a chip on my shoulder big as a redwood tree. And I don't expect you to believe it, but there was no Metropolitan Romance Bureau. The name was scraped off the door, and the office suite was empty.
Before we continue with Richard Diamond, here are a few words about smoking enjoyment.
Mildness tests have smoked out the truth.
After all the tests, sniff tests, puff tests, and the sensible, thorough Camel 30-day test, Camel leads all other brands by billions of cigarettes.
Latest published figures show that Camel has its greatest lead in popularity in 25 years.
Camels have the two things smokers want most in a cigarette: flavor and mildness. No other cigarette has Camel's rich, full flavor, a flavor you'll enjoy pack after pack and week after week.
And no other cigarette offers this proof of mildness, proof based not on a sniff or a puff, but on steady smoking. In a coast-to-coast test of hundreds of people who smoked only Camels for 30 days, noted throat specialists reported not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels.
Make your own 30-day Camel test, the sensible, thorough cigarette test. Smoke only Camels for 30 days, and you'll know why. After all the mildness tests, Camel is in first place by still more billions.
And now back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
A half hour later, I was telling the whole story to Lieutenant Walt Levinson. And a half hour after that, we were all gathered in Candy Cooper's apartment at the Welton Arms. Walt had been quizzing the manager, George McSorley, and a girl named Edna Chambers, who said she lived in the apartment and she'd never heard of Candy Cooper. Confused? Well, why should I be the only one?
What do you mean telling the police about a murder in my place? What are you, crazy or something?
I'm not crazy, Miss Chambers. I was here last night with a girl named Candy Cooper in this very apartment. She called me from here today, and somebody shot her.
Listen, mister, I don't know what your angle is, but this happens to be my apartment, and you were definitely not in it last night. If you had been, my boyfriend would have tossed you out on your ear, because he was here too.
How long have you lived here, young lady?
Almost a year. You heard what the manager said?
Oh, don't bother, Walt. It's rigged against us.
Wouldn't you shut him up? Look, I got records to prove it, and I tell you again, I never heard of no Candy, whatever her name was.
Okay, fatty. Homicide is your chestnut, not mine.
Who said there was a homicide? All you talked about was a shot and a scream, and over a phone at that. Are you sure you didn't see this thing at a seance or something?
All right. If you want to be a blockhead.
Nobody's being a blockhead. I'm talking about facts. You give me something and I'll use it.
Here, try my gun. The gang was organized like an army, and I realized I would need careful tactics to get anywhere. I reasoned if they had a lucrative mail order business going, they wouldn't drop it cold, so I paid a visit to the post office department.
Yeah, here's the card. They gave a change of address. The Metropolitan Romance Bureau now receives its mail at Post Office Box 32976.
32976.
Yeah. Say, you must be real hard up for romance, buddy.
Go cancel a stamp. And thank you. It was late in the afternoon when an old enemy of mine slid up to box 32976 and opened it with a key. His name was Jumbo. It was all I could do to keep from punching him right there. Instead, I followed him, and it was a long drive, north out of town toward Connecticut. My quarry finally pulled up at a brown shingled house on Anthony Street, number 1216, and went in. I took up a station at the end of the block, but when nothing further happened, I went back into town to do some checking from the office. Hello?
This is Ralph Dickinson, Mr. Diamond. Did you find anything out yet?
Well, Ralph, I haven't gotten your money back as yet, but I know a lot more than I did yesterday.
For example?
For example, I don't think that the girl you sent your money and your love to was a girl.
Huh?
I think your letter came from a man named Santino, or one of his secretaries.
Is that right? Well, Mr. Diamond, just tell me where he is. I'll handle it from here.
I think it's going to take both of us. Why don't you come down to my office? Right now, I have to check on an address and a license number.
Be right down, and I want some action.
The phone company told me that the phone at 1216 Anthony Street was under the name of George Santino. The police told me that the license number I'd copied down off the car I'd followed was under the same name, same address. Ralph Dickinson arrived and the two of us drove out there. I told him to station himself at the back door while I went in the front.
Yes, what is it you want, young man?
George Santino, is he in?
George what-tino?
Santino.
That with an S?
With an S.
Never heard of him.
Now, don't give me that. He lives here.
Since when?
How should I know?
I've been here since they built the place, 1912. I never seen no George Lamino. Had a Carl Muffino once rooming.
Oh, swell. Maybe I want a room. May I come in and look around?
You may not. This is my home, my private home. I don't like the look in your eye. Sneaky.
Are you Santino's mother?
I'll have you know I was never married. My name's Hester Thompson, Miss.
Well, Hester, I'll hate myself for doing this, but one side.
You can't come in here. I'll call the police.
I just did, and I dare you to. I want to look around.
All right, you forced me to defend my honor and my castle.
She reached into an umbrella stand and pulled out a sawed-off shotgun. I dived behind a sofa, and the stuffing caught the full blast of the rock salt it was loaded with. Before she could reload, I grabbed her and tied her up. Then I looked through the house. There was no sign of anybody, George Santino or his friends, just the effects and furnishings of a little old lady. I was just about to turn myself into the police for forcing an entry, assault, etc., when I noticed the garage outside. It was a double, with rooms over it, and all the shades were drawn. I had a talk with my teammate, Dickinson.
Think they're in there, huh?
Where else? Now look, I'm going into the garage, and if I find the same car I followed yesterday, I'll go upstairs.
Then I'm going with you.
I wouldn't have it any other way. It was the same car, all right, and we started tiptoeing up a long flight of stairs inside the garage to a doorway at the top. When we were one step away from it, we kicked it open and dived through. Nothing. No George Santino or friends. But in the next room, trussed up, gagged up, and tied to a chair, a frightened and hysterical Candy Cooper stared at us with big eyes. We took the gag out of her mouth.
Oh, Rick! Oh, Rick!
Easy, honey, easy. You're all right. I thought you'd been killed.
I almost was, but look.
What? Oh.
Who's this guy, Mr. Diamond?
A letter-writing expert named of George Santino. How did it happen, Candy?
I was talking to you on the phone when George walked in. He was mad because he knew I was going to tell you about the whole racket. He had a gun and he threatened me. I threw the telephone book at him and the gun went off. Jumbo and that other man brought me here.
Where are Jumbo and friend now?
Out getting a doctor.
It's too late for a doctor for this guy, Mr. Diamond. He's dead.
I knew he was going to die. I knew it.
Oh, let it all out, honey. We'll have some cops here to meet them when they come back.
And me too.
You know what you need, honey? Is a good husband and a nice home.
Where would I find that? Nobody would have me. Nobody.
Come here. Come here. I have a surprise for you. A guy named Ralph Dickinson. Oh, by the way, do you like lobster?
What a silly question. It's my favorite food.
Another drink, Rick?
No, Helen, honey, one's enough. Your beauty is intoxication enough.
Oh, I bet I didn't look anything like her.
Well, she was different, but you're both U.S. grade A.
But you kissed her.
All in the line of duty.
What's going to happen to her?
Well, before the week is out, I guess she'll become Mrs. Ralph Dickinson.
What a fortunate girl. I wish somebody would ask me.
All right, I will.
Rick, really?
Sure. How would you like to become Mrs. Ralph Dickinson?
Oh, you double-crossing.
Come here. Closer now. I'm getting better at that, huh? There. That help?
Oh, Rick, even though that was loud, it was good. Was that in the line of duty?
That, Helen, was strictly on my own time.
Dick Powell will return in just a minute.
What cigarette do you smoke, Doctor?
Again, that question has been asked of all doctors all over the country. Doctors in every branch of medicine.
Again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Here's Dick Powell with a special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, for more than 5 years, the Camel people have been sending out tens of thousands of gift cigarettes to hospitalized servicemen and veterans. More than 196 million free Camels have been sent to service personnel to date. This week's packs of Camels go to Veterans Hospitals, Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Providence, Rhode Island, U.S. Naval Hospital, Annapolis, Maryland, and to all hospitals operated by the Pacific Command of the U.S. Army. Now, until next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Listen next week for another exciting adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is the American Broadcasting Company. And here is the cast of players for tonight's Richard Diamond Show. Richard Diamond was played by the ever-talented Jay Summerfield. Allison Byhun was Rick Diamond's girlfriend, Helen Archer. The role of Ralph, the Maine lobsterman, was portrayed by George Suki. Amy Nieves, our newest cast member, played the parts of the receptionist and also Hester Thompson, the 90-year-old spinster. Santino was played by Herb Thompson. Great. Candy was played by Ellie Babka. Nell Brennan played the parts of Bridgie and also Edna. The roles of Carney the Thug and the Clerk was played by Andre Dixon. The first announcer was handled by myself, John Byhun. The second announcer was Jacob Palka. Finally, the part of Lieutenant Walt Levinson was played by our director, Tom Duggan.